there's an expanding restaurant empire in the Midwest that is about far more than food. It aims to tackle one of the nation's biggest problems, convicts getting out of prison and then going right back in. The story of Edwins begins with its founder, a man who was given a second chance and then dedicated his life to making sure others got one too. It is the latest story in our series, Who We Are.
Who's on burger tonight, guys? Oh, I got it.
At Edwins' restaurant in Cleveland.
You can start rocking.
The only thing more important than turning out the finest food and wine is turning around the lives of its employees.
Order fire snails and magua.
Did you already order? You already take a look and see what you...
Brandon Krostowski is the man in charge.
Well, sit back and enjoy.
2 decades ago, he was a boy in trouble.
You were dealing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
How old?
18.
What happened?
Well, we got caught up in a little thing, and police came, and we all left.
You took off.
Took off.
Krostowski found himself in front of a forgiving judge.
The charge that I carried was about 5 to 10 years in prison.
Why didn't he do that?
Well, I think there's 2 reasons: the color of my skin and the grace of God.
Given probation instead of hard time, Krostowski caught on inside a kitchen in his hometown of Detroit, trained at the Culinary Institute of America, and was soon working at top French restaurants in Paris and New York. But the second chance he got was always in the back of his mind, so he came up with a plan.
The goal is to have the best French restaurant in...
The world?
The best French restaurant in the world in Cleveland.
Yeah, Ohio.
Why here?
I just looked at where the worst high school graduation rate was, and Cleveland, Ohio happened to be the number 2 city in the country where people in high school didn't graduate. So I figured that's the place that it's needed.
You went to where you saw the situation being the worst and said, I'm going to make the best.
Yeah, makes sense. One turn like this, flip it, a whole turn like this.
Everyone who trains at Edwins, short for Education Wins, has had some sort of run-in with the law. Many spent years in prison.
It's the restaurant, it's the school, it's the institute.
Yeah.
Krostowski wants to redirect their lives with a restaurant boot camp, a 6-month program that provides housing, a library, donated clothes, even a small farm.
This is a brute, so it's going to have very, very little sugar.
Students take classes on a wide range of topics, including the art of champagne tasting and opening.
Twist the cork one way, the bottle the other way. There you go.
Oh, that's a pro, baby.
Should I have 2 after the one I'm playing?
The days are long, noon until midnight, and only 30% of students make it through.
When you talk to someone either in prison or just out of prison and you tell them that you want to train them to become a French chef, what's the usual reaction?
I think it's twofold. I think it's one, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Can't say that on TV.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. And the other thing is, if you give me sand, I'll drink it. Just give me an opportunity, I'll take it. Because that opportunity hasn't been there in the past.
What's your goal long term?
Change the face of reentry.
Change the face of reentry.
Change the face of reentry. Change that perception of someone coming out of prison, or jail, or a bad, hard time, or addiction.
You're not a lost soul, you're redeemable.
Of course, yeah, of course. Not only redeemable, you can redeem and kick some ass too. So now we get into something a little bit more intimate, that's fish, right? I mean, to me, of all the things to cook, I have 2 passions of cooking. Cooking in general, but risotto and fish.
Krostowski also trains those still doing time inside 13 Ohio prisons, including here at Grafton Correctional Institution. These men will be out soon, and no one wants them to reoffend.
I mean, I'm right there on the bone, man. You guys did a great job.
Krostowski says they need skills. The class we watched is full of hardcore convicts.
You're too forceful. If you got to push that hard, you're cutting through bone.
Sentences for murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and more.
Let's find the sharpest blade, steal it, and we'll go to town.
Today, they're learning to fillet salmon.
You've got guys who have been convicted of some pretty horrendous crimes with large, very sharp knives. Does that concern you at all?
Not a bit. This is the most at peace I feel all week. It's really the safest place that you could ever be.
Inside a prison with inmates with sharp knives is the safest place you can be.
They're only 12 inches.
I'm serious.
And when I'm here, when I'm with someone who's focused and dedicating their life to culinary arts, to improving, to fulfilling potential, there's no greater space to be in than with another human being.
Daryl Lempek is nearing the end of a decade-long sentence for drug trafficking and weapons charges.
You know what they say, right?
What?
You get out what you put in. So I guess you put in the work, you reap the reward.
Are you ready to put in the work in the right way?
For sure. For sure. I've had enough. Definitely had enough. 9 years, it's enough. I can walk the straight and narrow. I can do the right thing.
And you think these classes help you get there?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Gives me a purpose.
Krastowski's nonprofit program is funded by his main restaurants and private donations. He says he won't take any government money.
What do you want people to take from the idea of Edwins?
Well, there's hope. This thing is supported by like 7-year-olds who've given me like $4 of their allowance, $4 in a Ziploc bag of coin. And the next day it's a $500,000 check. So from the very least of us to the very most of us, it works. And without that, it doesn't work. So the hero here is the community of people staffing this, the community of people supporting it.
7-year-old.
Pretty sweet.
You can't say that on TV.
But it is sweet.
It is sweet, yes.
7 years old.
Yes,
she
it is.
believes that someone deserves a second chance, right?
Pretty sweet.
Because people do deserve a second chance. And when you watch anything, that idea behind recidivism, you've got to give people a purpose. You have to give them education if they didn't have it. You have to give them a skill so that there is a job to go to and the chance with a job.
It's a huge problem. So long term, about 10 years out, the DOJ says up to 83% of people who leave prison end up right back in. Edwins says their number with their graduates so far, 350, is 1.4%. So something is working there.
Yeah.
So there's the restaurant, there's the pizzeria. He has a butcher shop now and opening a bakery as well.
I'm just so floored by the fact that this decision on the part of the judge not only changed the trajectory of his life, but now he is changing the trajectories, potentially, of all these other lives. It is amazing what one person can do.
It is extraordinary.
I know where I'm going in Cleveland.
There you go. There you go.